with Victory Project. Again, we've been affiliated for quite a number of years, and again, we always are a big fan and supporter of his efforts and work.
Well, thank you, Mike. It is like sitting around with some family members for sure, because you guys have been a part of Victory Project since Victory Project started. In fact, the gentleman that Luigi spoke about, Ron Riegelsberger, was the first guy to take me seriously as we attempted this endeavor. I was a police officer for 15 years, so I saw a lot of the things that Luigi described that the system was trying to do, trying to support families, trying to support these young people. As a police officer, I was being called to homes to deal with things that traditionally Dad would have taken care of. And my mom would have called my dad at work, and I would have wanted to call the police to say, Dad's on his way home. I don't want to, that was this family environment that we had. And I kind of thought that's the way everybody was raised until I became a police officer and saw a lot of need in the community. And as a person of faith, I was very disappointed in the faith community's reaction to the need in our community. There was just a large gap that I saw that could be filled by the faith community a lot better than we could the criminal justice system. So I left law enforcement in 2004, went in the corporate community for a while, and really was just given a crash course on entrepreneurship. And the more things that I thought that these young people that I remember seeing as a police officer needed, God was revealing to me through my experiences in business and criminal justice. And so one day I went to my wife and just said, I think we're supposed to start a mission in Dayton. I want to work with court-involved and disengaged youth, and that's pretty much all I do. And from about 18-month period, I did some research and development. Building Bridges was one of the first places I went to learn what they did, how they did things, other organizations. And there's a lot of good people doing some great work in our community. But I also saw some things that wasn't being done. And number one was education. I knew if we could get kids to focus on education, that would be a huge push for them to get out of that kind of that struggle that they found themselves in, that cycle of dependence of the system. I also knew that employment was a big deal. A lot of these kids that we're talking about don't have the same opportunities we did. And one example of that is, when's the last time you had a paper boy come to your house? I mean, decades.
Yeah.
That was my first job. My second job, I rode my bike to Kroger's on Smithville. For a young person today in the city of Dayton, you're talking, it's not a bike ride, it's a 45-minute bus ride or more to even get to those jobs, to even take a shot getting hired. And a lot of people will say, well, what about fast food? Well, you're just as likely to find a 66-year-old as you are a 16-year-old behind the counter. And so those jobs that were there when we were growing up just are not there, number one, especially with transportation. So we said, when we open our facility, we just don't want to do job training. We want to have our own small business that actually employs the youth that we work with. And the final thing we focused on was showing our faith in a tangible way, showing them God's love on a consistent basis, and really giving these boys an alternative to the street. Because the street's open 24/7, 365. And you have to, if you're going to compete with that, you've got to show up. You've got to be there for them. And your competition is the street. So that's kind of how we see it. So our curriculum is based on the 3 E's: education, entrepreneurship, and enlightenment. So real briefly, we work with young men between the ages of 12 and 18, similar to Luigi's group. Some of our kids are court involved, but we kind of identify our kids as disengaged youth. And what I mean by that is they're not really doing anything after school. They're not going to programming. They're not going playing sports. They're not doing anything. They're kind of just running the streets. And that's where the problems are. So we have an after-school program that we started, and it runs year-round, noon to 8 p.m. every day. We have specific programming activities for the boys that they have to participate in. They've got to maintain a certain GPA. They've got to come to tutoring. They've got to come to classes. We do a class, everything from tutoring all the way through a class we had called How to Be an OG. And in their world, an OG means original gangster, and we've changed that to overall gentleman. So it's how to tie a tie, how to shine your shoes. We bring in ladies from the Dayton Ballet are doing formal dancing with our boys, and then they have a winter formal at the end of the year, and they get a chance to show their girlfriends and friends what they've learned. And it also shows the young ladies what they should expect when they're out on these dates, because the guys are pulling their chairs out and all these things. So we really emphasize the whole person. So we're talking about education, and another important thing we do is we have the small business has really grown. It's Victory Landscape Management. We started out with just my Jeep and a couple push mowers, and because I want to get these guys employed and I wanted to give them opportunities to work. And very quickly, we saw these guys take off to the point where we have about 50 contracts that we manage. That's 50. That's commercial and residential. We started a tree farm with the city of Dayton, so we're taking vacant lots that are just sitting vacant in the city, and we're putting trees there. And we could tell the city we could sell them back to you cheaper than you're buying them from anybody else. Plus, we're using vacant properties in beautification projects. So in the spring of 2016, we'll be up to 1,300 trees that we're managing for the city of Dayton. Wow. And those are all on the west side of Dayton. So they're in neighborhoods that these young men live in, and it's also neighborhoods that the neighbors are looking out and saying, these are kids from our neighborhood revitalizing this neighborhood. So it's really good for the entire region. Our guys we're hitting the right population because our guys, in 2014, in January, we sent out 44 W-2s for our youth that work, and all but 11 of those went to homes where that young person was the only one getting a W-2. So we're really hitting the demographic to break that cycle of the system and dependence. And the great thing about it is our boys are there voluntarily. Nobody's, they can't be forced to participate. It's a very stringent process to get in the program. It's hard to stay in the program. But we show it through our love and accountability. We hold them accountable because we love them. And we tell them, God's got a plan for your life. I don't know what that plan is, but I know what it's not. It's not incarceration, it's not violent death, it's not poverty. So in this environment, our goal is to help you discover what God's plan is for your life, at least start you on that track. And our guys are amazing. We'd love to have you come down and take a tour of our new building, the 409 Troy Street, on the corner of Troy and Chapel. Come through, you'll get a tour. Our kids give the tours because it's really their program. They're actually, when we bring in new kids for an interview, the first interview is done by DeMarcus Suggs, our program director. The second interview and the final interview is done by the youth. And they give the thumbs up or thumbs down on new members. And so they really have an ownership of the program. In 2016, we're going to start a second small business. We're doing carpet cleaning and janitorial services to employ more of our youth, because we just hired another employee who's going to be managing our middle school program. So we'll be able to expand to have more kids in the program. We have dinner together every night. We break bread together every night. So
yeah, that's one of the key things that I think the program does. Is it puts them together as a family.
Yeah.
And we did that once. We're supposed to be doing it regularly, but we'd like to do it again.
What's the name of your organization?
The Victory Project. VictoryProject.org.
On Troy.
Troy and Chapel. We just moved there a year ago, and it's a 26,000 square foot facility. We're really excited. We're $50,000 from being mortgage free. And
I took a tour through there. They do tours on a regular basis, and I would advise maybe we do a luncheon there or something.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we can.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I think it's great how you've got two programs, both doing something similar to different people, and everybody reaching a different way. The building bridges